The movie Kindergarten Cop, Arnold Schwarzenegger acted as a mole in a kindergarten. Obviously, the new job was not suitable for him at all. But it seems being a kindergarten teacher is not that difficult for our hero today.
Everybody stand up! Up, 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 up! I was actually a cook in Canada. I had my mind set to become a professional chef, and I had a back problem. During my recovery, I did some research online and I wanted to see China. I wasn't sure how serious I would be as a teacher, but after coming to China, I discovered that's really what I love to do.
Jon Ransom came to China in 2002. Introduced by a Canadian company, he came and taught English at an English training institute in Fogang and Yingde in Guangdong province. That was his first job in China. Now, Jon is working at the kindergarten at the Huamei International School. But believe it or not, kindergarten is not his first choice. Just like Arnold in the movie, Jon was nervous when he gave his very first class to kindergarten kids. But he certainly has his own way.
Of course, it was very nervous, but I prepared as well as I could, and I've tried to improve every class since then. To really get results from kids, you need to know how to capture their interest, get their respect, and also keep them in a manageable environment. And also, I did a lot of babysitting when I was a teenager and stuff like that.
No wonder he's quite comfortable and skillful with disciplined kids.
Remember, be careful. I think a real key to it is appealing to their interest and also using your body to communicate. Because even if you speak the same language, they really respond to how you interact with your body, with your facial expressions. Do you want Spider-Man or Ultraman or Barbie? Batman? What's Batman? Do you mean Spider-Man? Spider-Man? Hey. Betty is the boss, not the boy. And it comes into discipline too. If you give them a stern look, they understand immediately that you're serious, you mean business. Team strong, Ultraman. Okay.
Soon, Jon found that the Chinese way of teaching kids is different from that in Canada.
One thing I like about kindergarten kids is that they're simple and kids are kids. But I do find that kids in China are really taught to sit in a formal classroom environment at a much younger age. Usually at this age in Canada and the States, they're still learning, but the focus is on creative learning. They're not given the formal classroom environment as much.
So Jon prefers not to give formal classes to kids at such a young age. Instead, he created many games. Kung Fu Chop is among one of these games which help kids to learn.
Kung Fu Chop here. Wait, be careful, okay? Be careful. Ooh. A lot of foreigners have this fascination with Chinese Kung Fu. I really have a fascination with Kung Fu too, so I just always thought it was funny to, in movies when the superhero would karate chop or Kung Fu chop their enemy. And so I thought it would be fun. And Kung Fu is a word that they immediately know. And, all of the kids love Ultraman and Spider-Man, and they love Kung Fu chopping too.
There once was a boy host named Jon. He was very handsome. He was born in Canada.
Susan is one of the students that Jon once taught. Guided by Jon, she won a national gold prize on storytelling.
One day, Jon came to China in order to find his lucky tree.
This story is in fact portraying how Jon met his Miss Dream, a Cantonese girl named Mei. Both of them were born in a year of horse. That's where the two horses in the story were from.
We met in a very small town called Yingde, and we worked together in a small town. The first time I met him, he had a really big beard, and he got really thick hair. So I thought he's...
But not anymore.
I thought he's 50 years old. But I think he's very honest.
We just met as colleagues the first time. So I don't think there's any spark there at first. Because, I didn't come to China to meet girls or anything like that. China was meant to be a sort of a one stop. And then I wanted to see other countries in the world and teach and travel at the same time. But she stole my heart.
At the beginning, Mei's parents were a little bit skeptical about Jon.
He met my parents a year after we dated. At the beginning, the communication still quite intense. Yeah, because they need to understand why he wants to marry me, and also the media on the TV shows always shows the foreigners like to go to the bars and drink and to dance and really playboy style. So they're just really skeptical, like, are you sure he's the right guy?
To marry a Chinese girl is easy, but to understand and accept Chinese culture is not that easy. Culture shock did make Jon suffer for quite a while.
As a local and come to a very local family, you know the tradition as a Chinese people. As soon as we work in the society and as oldest daughter in the family, so I have the duty to give my mom or my dad some money every month. He didn't agree at all at the very beginning, but now he changed the view and actually he's quite agree with it.
It's just something that was so different. But now I really appreciate that idea, and I think it's a much healthier idea for children to support their parents. So there's a lot of things that actually I couldn't understand and didn't really want to accept at first. But after a while, I actually see the benefit, and there's a lot of things Chinese that I hold as much more reasonable and sensible than things that we do in the West. Even things simple things like sitting at the table. I really appreciate that a Chinese dinner table is round. Everybody faces each other, and the conversation is, you can have conversation. I really appreciate the format. You bring out one dish and everybody shares it. In the West, we bring out everything together, and then you put your own plate. But the Chinese way is much more conducive to sharing, to family, to conversation. It's something that everybody takes part in.
As both Jon and Mei are English teachers, they often discuss with each other whether there is a better way to teach kids.
Yeah.
When we work together, I'm the student. He is the teacher. So I have to demo the game.
She will help the students understand how to demonstrate a game or to do something like that, or she can help discipline the children and stuff like that.
A good language teacher is also a good language learner. While teaching kids English, Jon also takes it as an opportunity to learn some Chinese. Well, kids' Chinese.
I do learn some funny things in Chinese. I think I learned the word for smelly from a Chinese student. And it's probably because my shirt was so smelly, because it was the middle of summer and I was so hot and I was sweating. And the kid said, Jon, 臭死了. So I said, oh, what's that? Oh, I get it.
He learned Chinese in the very first year, and all his students taught him during the days. So he could speak a little bit, like every day.
Like kids' language?
Yeah, exactly, like the kindergarten Chinese.
In the end, they married. They live in a house.
Jon and Mei are planning to have a baby sooner or later. They wish their child can be raised up in a dual culture circumstance and learn as many languages as he or she can. Then how will Jon act as a father? Well, we'll see.
Now let's take a look at what else is happening around the city.